Hello and welcome to this week's YouTube video. Every 4 weeks I do a Procreate video where I try and transfer my fine art painting skills to Procreate. This week, as we are approaching Christmas, I thought I'd show you something a bit fun. I think some shop fronts lend themselves very well to illustration, and this is one of them. I couldn't resist having a go at turning it into a piece of artwork because it's such a pretty shop. Before I show you the video, let's have a quick look at the brushes I used. They were the wet acrylic, the round brush, the turpentine brush and the 6B pencil tool. Let's have a look at the time-lapse video and I will speak about what I did and the decisions I made as we go along. This is the reference photo that I took. I could have chosen to crop in close to the shop front, but I liked the alleyway down the side. It lends itself well to doing something with dramatic backlight. The shop front is dark, so if I introduce some light, bright, saturated colours, this will automatically make my artwork more dramatic. Contrast creates drama. Also, I do not want to stick too literally to what is in the photo. I can add elements if they aid the composition. I can change things or move things around. First of all, I did a rough sketch to give myself an idea of the colours I was going to use. You'll notice that I initially chose the colours of red and green. My red was closer to pink though. The jump between the red and the green was too great and it wasn't giving me that late evening feel that I wanted, so I needed to change it. If I show you the colour wheel, you'll see that I've selected harmonious colours around green. Orange, orange-yellow, yellow-green and green-blue. I know these colours will work because they are all next to each other on the colour wheel. On my colour picker, I can choose any colours in my orange, yellow and green colours. This gives me the options of warm and cool colours. Over this side I have my greys and on this side I have my warmer saturated colours. As my shop is backlit, this area needs to be darker than my light, but I can't go too dark because too many dark colours together won't print well. As this area will be darker, I can create contrast with my top windows, my plants and also this pavement area needs breaking up with some light values. Strictly speaking, this highlight here is incorrect. It wouldn't be like that in real life, but I need to change it for the sake of making the illustration work. Very often, it's the values that you'll need to change in artwork like this. I've placed my sketch on the bottom layer and drawn around the main features on a new layer. This line drawing will sit at the top of my layers panel. As I progress through the painting, I begin to rub it out, but you'll notice that parts have been left in the final piece. It's good to start off with one overall colour. I've chosen orange because I want a warm sunset feel. It's easier to edit out warmth than put it in. It's then just a question of starting to block in my areas. I'm working on one layer for my blocking at this point, but as I start to add the detail, I will add additional layers. This is so I can delete the detail easily if it doesn't work. I'm using my round brush on approximately 70% opacity. I'm building up the colour gradually because I don't want to lose all my orange. When I'm happy with my blocking, I begin to add the detail to the shop. The most important thing about your blocking is that you aim to add atmosphere. The atmosphere will always be in dramatic light, so aim for either early morning light or end of the day light. If you are not sure what this looks like, have a look on the internet at some real photos, not AI generated, of what the light does at this time of day. I've changed my shop front a little just to aid composition, and I've lightened my colours and made them more saturated. This is because I know the artwork will print better. I've edited out the detail in the shop window, sticking to a limited colour palette of orange, green and grey. If I start to introduce too many colours, I will lose my colour harmony. For the detail of my shop, I've used my round brush, wet acrylic and pencil tool on various opacities. I've suggested additional window boxes above the shop. Notice how suggestive these are. I've used my brush on around 50% opacity and added some very random expressive strokes. Had I added the same level of detail in this area as I had in the shop front, it would have caused a distraction. The way to know if you have overdone your detail is to view the artwork a little smaller. If your eye is immediately drawn to that area and it's not what you intended, you've gone too far. Just delete it and start again, but make sure you turn your transparency down and keep your edges soft. You'll notice how I add detail and then delete it. I'm just trying things out and seeing how it looks. I add my figures on a new layer. To make my dog stand out, I am using cool greys on warm light oranges. The change in temperature gives me contrast. Contrast will help you separate objects. The blue I have chosen for that top is a green blue. Blue and orange are opposite colours, so again this gives me contrast I need to separate my figure from the background. Because I know this area will be green, I've chosen a red-orange for the jacket on this figure. Red and green are opposite colours. I also have to make sure that the colours I choose for my clothing, the blue and the red, harmonise together. This will be a little bit of trial and error until you find the right colours that go. At this point, apart from my clothing, the colours are pretty muted. I need a big injection of saturated colour. I want the plants and flowers to be the most eye-catching thing in the artwork. Again, I will create contrast between muted colours and saturated colours. The brushes that I use are the turpentine brush, because this gives me lovely soft edges. Where I want a bit more block colour, I've used the wet acrylic, and where I want to put in a bit of detail, I use the pencil tool. I also let a lot of my initial line drawing to show through too. Notice how I have laid some of my green into my shadow areas as well. These are very transparent strokes at about 30% opacity. Notice how in the final artwork I have very obvious separation in values, separation in temperatures and separation in muted and saturated colours. So when you are creating your own artwork, think about all these different elements. I hope you have enjoyed today's video and found it useful. Please like and subscribe if you can, and check out my website sarahhallidayart.com, where you will find examples of my work and also details of online classes that I run. Thank you for watching and see you for the next one.